May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be pleasing to you, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. There was no room at the inn. No room for travel-weary Joseph. No room for exhausted Mary. No room for Jesus about to be born into the world. And yet, God made a way for those who were willing to make room, through those who were willing to make room. First, through Mary, who made room in her very body and being to birth Christ on earth. Through Joseph, who made room in his life for the miracle that Mary bore. Even through the animals, who made room in their stable. And I like to think that the cow was especially hospitable, making room right in her feeding trough, right there in the manger, for the baby Jesus to have a bed. The shepherds, they made room as they heard the great news and rushed with haste to see it, to learn of what had been prophesied to them. We are asked tonight, will we also make room? Will we make room tonight and tomorrow and every day? Will we make room? In the muck and mess of a stable 2,000 years ago, God made a way when it seemed that there was no room for love, when it seemed there was no room for peace, when it seemed there was no room for the baby Jesus. God made a way through those who were willing to make room. Christmas can seem like such a shimmery, glittery, shiny kind of season. We've got trees decked out. We've got on our Christmas best. We put up our best photos with our Christmas cards and our Facebook posts. And yet our lives and our hearts, they are messy. They hurt, even at Christmas, sometimes even especially at Christmas. Our lives are messy, but we don't need to be afraid of that, because just like God was willing to be born into the muck of a world that was mired in poverty and oppression, to a peasant family living under the thumb of Rome, God is willing to be born into the mess and muck of our lives and our world today. So we do not need to be afraid. In fact, tonight we can rejoice because we know that God is seeking to be born in us and through us, to use our hands and our feet to love this world, to be born anew in our hearts in a world that is longing for hearts made tender by God's love, that is longing for lives transformed by God's love, for lives that will then transform the world around us. So tonight, on this beautiful Christmas Eve, let us rejoice that God is willing to be born in us and in our midst. Let us rejoice that even in the mess of our hearts and our lives, God is willing to be born, and we get to make room tonight for Jesus. With Mary, with Joseph, with the animals, with the shepherds, let us rejoice and let us make room. Amen.